Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a classic story that actually invented one of the most powerful and beloved tropes in all of fiction, the hero with a secret identity.
It all starts with a name, just a whisper on the blood-soaked streets of revolutionary Paris. For the agents running the reign of terror, it was a curse. But for the people waiting for the guillotine, it was a prayer, a tiny flicker of impossible hope.
You see, this story unfolds across two completely different worlds. In Paris, you've got the reign of terror. The guillotine is humming, and fear is literally in the air. Then, just across the channel, in London, it's the reign of triviality. The biggest concern of the day is the latest fashion, and champagne is flowing like water. The contrast is just stark.
Okay, so let's get into part one, a world of masks. In the middle of all this terror in Paris, a legend is born. They talk about a ghost, a phantom who can snatch aristocrats right from the steps of the scaffold and then just vanish. He's called the Scarlet Pimpernel, and his daring escapes are the talk of Europe. Of course, this makes him public enemy number one for the French regime's most ruthless agent, the cold and cunning citizen Chauvelin, who swears he'll hunt this Englishman down. So who is he? Well, this is what's so brilliant. He isn't hiding in the shadows. He's hiding in plain sight. In London, he's Sir Percy Blakeney, an aristocrat famous for being a complete and utter fool. He's obsessed with his clothes and considered the dullest man in town. It is the absolute perfect disguise, because who would ever look for a brilliant hero there?
And the person most fooled by this act is his own wife, the incredibly intelligent Lady Marguerite. She's from Paris, so she knows the stakes, and she is just deeply disappointed by the silly fop she married. To her, his foolishness isn't a mask. It's just a painful, unbridgeable gap between them.
So now we get to part two, a game of betrayal. This is where the horror from Paris reaches across the channel and puts Marguerite in an impossible, devastating position. Chauvelin shows up in London, and his plan is just diabolical. He knows Marguerite's one weakness is her brother Armand, so he lays his trap. He tells her Armand has been arrested and will go to the guillotine unless she helps him. She has to use her social connections to find out who the Scarlet Pimpernel is and turn him in.
She's trapped, she's terrified. So at a party, she gives Chauvelin a tiny piece of information, a hint that the Pimpernel might be on his way to Calais. She has no idea she's just betrayed her own husband, the man she still secretly loves beneath all that foolishness. She thinks she's just saving her brother. And that single act of desperation is what triggers the whole story's emotional core. Let's get to part three, the truth unmasked. This is where it all comes out.
Marguerite, driven by her own growing suspicions, finds her way into Percy's private study. And, sure enough, behind a panel, she finds a secret room. It's filled with maps of France, all kinds of disguises, and a signet ring with the mark of a small, red pimpernel flower. As she's standing there, the impossible truth just hitting her, Percy appears. But it's not the Percy she knows. The goofy act is gone. The man standing before her is quiet, serious, like a soldier. The mask is off, and the look he gives her isn't anger. It's just this profound, heartbreaking hurt. But her confession doesn't destroy them. She tells him everything. And in that moment of brutal honesty, Percy understands. He forgives her. He realizes what an impossible choice she faced. And just like that, their broken marriage is forged into a real partnership. He knows he has to go to France now, not just to rescue people, but to save her brother from the trap she accidentally set. And this brings us to the thrilling climax in part four, the daring great escape. We're talking a high-stakes rescue mission where Percy has to outsmart his nemesis, this time with Marguerite fighting right by his side. And the whole operation is just audacious. First, Marguerite manages to warn Percy about an ambush Chauvelin has set up in Calais. Then, once in Paris, Percy's League stages a full-on prison break to get Armand out. When Chauvelin finally corners an unmasked Percy, it's Marguerite who creates a diversion, allowing them to start a frantic race to the coast and fight their way to freedom. All right, so after the dust settles, we get to the real conclusion in part 5, Love and a Legacy. This isn't just about the hero winning. It's about cementing a relationship and a legacy that has lasted for over a century.
On the boat back to England, the masks are finally off for good. All the secrets are out, and in that quiet space, Percy and Marguerite find their way back to each other. Their love has been tested by fire, and it's come out stronger and more real than any facade they ever put up.
So, why does this story still matter so much? It's simple. The Scarlet Pimpernel created the blueprint for the modern superhero. The whole idea of a hero hiding his true self behind a foolish or bumbling persona, it started right here. Without Sir Percy Blakeney, you don't get Zorro. You don't get Batman. He is the original.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. For all his genius, all his disguises, maybe Sir Percy's greatest trick, his most powerful mask, wasn't the fool he pretended to be. Maybe it was the love that fueled his courage and saved his marriage, the one thing his enemies could never, ever defeat.